Imagine stepping into a country where the lights literally go out at night, where skyscrapers are empty shells, and where an entire economy exists not in the open, but hidden in the shadows. That's North Korea. And today we're going to peel back the curtain on one of the most secretive economies in the world. Now, when we think of economies, we imagine bustling markets, stock exchanges, exports, imports, GDP charts. North Korea doesn't play by those rules, at least not openly. On paper, the country barely registers on the global economic stage, but behind the barbed wires, sanctions, and propaganda, there exists an underground system of trade, survival, and hidden wealth that keeps the regime alive. So how does this shadow economy really work? Let's start with the basics. North Korea is technically a socialist planned economy, which means in theory the state controls everything, factories, farms, trade. But in practice, the government has struggled for decades to provide even the most basic necessities. Food shortages have been a recurring nightmare since the 1990s, when the country suffered a devastating famine that killed anywhere between a few 100,000 to over 2 million people. In that crisis, something happened. Ordinary people stopped waiting for the government to feed them and started creating informal markets. These became known as Jangmadang, literally, markets of necessity. Imagine black markets sprouting up in schoolyards, alleys, and rural villages. At first, the government tried to crack down. But when people are starving, enforcement collapses. Over time, these underground markets became a lifeline, and eventually a semi-tolerated part of daily life. Today, the Jangmadang are everywhere. You can find everything from rice, corn, and secondhand clothes, to South Korean dramas smuggled on USB sticks. And yes, those dramas are illegal. But imagine the curiosity of a North Korean teenager secretly watching glossy K-dramas, seeing bright cities and free lifestyles completely different from their own. That forbidden glimpse into another world is as much a product in these markets as food. But markets are just one layer. The bigger story lies in how the regime itself survives, because sanctions are supposed to choke North Korea's ability to trade with the outside world. Officially, it's isolated, but unofficially, there's a whole shadow network. Let's talk about coal, for example. North Korea has massive coal reserves, and coal is supposed to be banned for export under UN sanctions. Yet reports show that ships carrying mystery coal still make their way to ports in China. How? Through clever tricks. Ships turn off their GPS trackers or transfer cargo at sea, a practice known as ship-to-ship transfers. It's like a giant game of cat and mouse, except the stakes are billions of dollars and nuclear ambitions. And it's not just coal. North Korea has become surprisingly good at cybercrime. Think about this. A country where many citizens don't even have access to the internet has produced some of the most infamous hacking groups in the world. Groups like Lazarus have been linked to billion-dollar crypto heists, ATM hacks in Asia, and even the WannaCry ransomware attack in 2017 that paralyzed hospitals and companies worldwide. This digital theft isn't just a side hustle, it's state-sponsored, feeding desperately needed cash into the regime's coffers. If you're wondering why crypto, it's perfect. Anonymous, borderless, hard to trace. In one case, hackers allegedly stole over $600 million worth of cryptocurrency from an online gaming platform. That's not pocket change. That's enough to fund missile tests, luxury goods for elites, and the survival of a regime that's been under sanctions for decades. Speaking of elites, there's another fascinating piece of this puzzle. North Korea's secret economy isn't just about survival for ordinary citizens. It's also about indulgence at the very top. Despite the image of shared hardship, Kim Jong-un and the ruling elite live in a bubble of imported luxury. Foreign cars, rare alcohol, Swiss watches, and even exotic pets. How do these items get in when sanctions supposedly ban them? Smuggling networks. Often Chinese intermediaries or companies in Southeast Asia act as middlemen. Goods are mislabeled, disguised, and shipped under fake identities. By the time they reach Pyongyang, they're transformed into symbols of loyalty and status within the inner circle. But let's zoom out. The survival of North Korea's secret economy isn't just about smuggling and hacking, it's also about human labor. Tens of thousands of North Korean workers are sent abroad, to Russia, to the Middle East, to parts of Asia. Officially, they might be cooks, construction workers, or loggers. In reality, their wages are heavily siphoned by the state, turning human beings into another form of export. For many workers, conditions are grueling, hours long, and freedom non-existent, yet their remittances funnel millions back into Pyongyang. Now, you might be thinking, why doesn't the outside world stop this? The truth is, it's incredibly hard. When survival depends on breaking the rules, people, whether individuals or governments, Get creative. North Korea thrives on this creativity. For every sanction, there's a loophole. For every blockade, there's a back door. But here's the paradox. While the regime finds ways to stay afloat, ordinary North Koreans still struggle. Yes, the markets have given people some independence. Yes, smuggling has allowed access to outside goods and ideas. But life is still incredibly harsh. The average income is estimated at just a few $100s a year. Malnutrition remains common. And freedom? That's still the rarest commodity of all. So where does this leave us? North Korea's secret economy is like an iceberg, most of it hidden beneath the surface. Above the water you see the state's official narrative, a self-reliant socialist nation standing tall against the world. Below you find a tangled web of black markets, smuggling routes, cybercrime, and desperate survival. And here's the haunting question: is this shadow system making the country stronger or weaker? On one hand, it keeps people alive, gives them agency, and fuels resilience. On the other, it props up a regime that uses secrecy as both shield and weapon. Imagine for a moment, if the Jangmadang markets had never emerged, would the state have collapsed under the weight of famine? Or, if hackers stopped bringing in digital loot, would the regime be forced to the negotiating table? These are questions without clear answers, but they highlight just how unusual North Korea's economy really is. The truth is, North Korea's survival has always been about adaptation. From famine to sanctions, the country has turned crises into strange new opportunities. It's an economy built not on growth or innovation, but on secrecy, resilience, and defiance. And whether we admire or condemn it, there's no denying it's unlike anything else on Earth. So next time you hear about North Korea testing a missile, or see a photo of a brightly lit parade in Pyongyang, remember, behind the spectacle lies an invisible machine. One powered by underground markets, secret smuggling routes, anonymous crypto wallets, and the silent labor of people who may never know the world beyond their borders. And maybe that's the ultimate irony. In a country obsessed with control, the real engine of survival is the one thing the state can't fully control: people's drive to adapt, to survive, and to keep moving even in the shadows.